The world is headed towards a crisis of knowledge, a period of informational confusion that we have never seen before, most akin to the times before formal education for the general public, where facts, superstition, and baseless speculation were all shared with the same weight among the average commoners. Most of you have heard of AI Slop. This isn't AI Slop. AI Slop is all the spammed content with no particular value, even beyond our usual internet nonsense. What we are discussing is a ramping feedback loop of AI errors. Most of you know AI is not some piece of code you can execute that runs a calculation and spits out an answer. It is not a search engine. Concerningly, Google and others have tried to put it into that role, despite its penchant for mistakes and hallucination. At least now they have a warning as to the lack of reliability AI has. But if you ask it to find an answer, it will kind of run a web search within the sources it has been allowed and create a sort of average of the results. This is a very poor explanation, but the result is that it may not understand the context of your question, or it may not understand the context within the paragraphs which it sources and associate the wrong figures or concepts with the desired information. And then, as mentioned, it can hallucinate, which, as it sounds, the AI just spits out junk information out of nowhere. The rate of hallucination has improved, and probably will improve over time. However, there is something we have been missing. AI is being used en masse by all these news sites online, finding so-called research for writers or generating articles on single topics in their entirety. Hundreds of articles, 24 hours a day. As you have undoubtedly seen, lots of these articles are of low value. Basically AI slop, but with some information lifted from other sites. While keyword stuffed and recent, giving them very high rankings in search engine optimization, these articles and the information within them isn't generally very useful. Fortunately, Google did take some steps early on to reduce the frequency of random sarcasm or troll posts from Reddit, like finely ground salt protects against rust, from being sourced by an article on some random website. But there are many more AI tools than just Gemini or ChatGPT, and it's bad enough for a few people to get false information off of a single site. Even without AI, on any average day, errors can be made. Maybe a human makes a typo in a textbook, or our perception of how the galaxy works was incomplete and we have to start all over again from scratch. Or perhaps a research paper had an error in its methodology. But we as humans review things. Readers can find the errors and request corrections. But AI is making new content at insane speeds, in most cases with little to no human oversight. Even if you were to correct it, the next AI article might have already superseded it. The core issue is more than just a single article having a handful of mistakes, whether big or small. After one round of AI articles gets published, they find their way to the top of the search results, and then another AI picks up that article and uses it as a source, and then another. We may know these things are wrong, but sooner or later, some human is going to reference an AI-generated pseudo-fact, and then that will be presented as fact. Then it gets referenced by teachers and policymakers, and if you want to dispute it after it has been effectively adopted as truth, not only do you have to overcome the intrinsic bias that our brains have for established information, but we have already seen how facts have been twisted and manipulated into some political debate. You will have to then fight tooth and nail just to get someone to question what should have been an undisputed fact. Like which molecules are in an atom of water, H2O, obviously hydrogen and oxygen. But I hope I didn't actually have to say that, and that was just redundant. We have already seen people get tripped up by deliberate AI fakes being shared. That is malicious disinformation. That alone is a problem. But we are going to see it stack more and more until nothing can be relied upon, to the point we may have to regress to relying solely on the hard copies printed before the fake facts and figures from the dawn of AI. Imagine that, a resurgence of physical books because the internet has become so polluted by AI.